young man stands on the edge of his porch. The days were short and the father was gone. No one in the town and no one in the field. Dusty barren land had given all they could yield. Off my land at the age of 16, and I've no idea where else my heart could have been. Placed all my trust at the foot of this hill, and now I am sure my heart could never be still. It's Collect your courage and collect your horse, and pray you never feel the same kind of remorse. Seal my heart and break my pride. I know where to stand and now know where to hide. Align my heart, my body, my mind, to face what I've done and do my time. Your oppression reeks of your greed and disgrace. So one man has and another has not. How can you love what it is you have got, when you took it all from the weak hands of the poor? Liars and thieves, you know not what's in store. And there will come a time I will look in your eye. You'll pray to the God that you've always denied. Then I'll go out back and I'll get my gun. I'll say you haven't met me, I am the only son. Well, yes, sir, yes, it was me. I know what I've done, 'cause I know what I've seen. I went out back and I got my gun. I said, you haven't met me, I am the only son.
Good evening. Welcome to another Wednesday evening here at Restore Live. Restore Live going out to the Restore UK channel on Facebook, also to the British Unionist People's Voice on Facebook, and to the Restore UK channel that's on YouTube. Now, I have to say that we know that there's a rally in Portadown this evening, and there'll be a lot of people that would normally come here to Restore from Northern Ireland, and they will be at that rally. In fact, we know that they're at that rally. So the numbers, they look very handsome this evening. And again, that's a testament to the people that come here. And this evening, well, we started off where we wanted to talk about one thing. And over the past few days, well, as a result of something that we learned at the tail end of last week, well, we began researching here at Restore. Now, we couldn't put the pieces of the jigsaw completely together until today, until that we had a phone call with someone. And I'm going to say, people, strap in, because we have some information that may be for some people hard to follow, maybe for other people hard to swallow, but this is information that I believe that every British Unionist should actually understand and know. And we've entitled this screen this evening, the DUP, the UUP leadership, will they fiddle whilst potentially British Unionism burns? And I put a question mark on the end of that, because whether we burn or whether we don't burn is dependent on the people from within British Unionism, known as the electorate, the ordinary decent people that elect politicians into place to serve and protect you. However, those politicians, well, have they been fiddling whilst that potentially the United Kingdom would burn? Well, we leave that to your understanding. We leave that to you to make your own decisions whenever we present the evidence, as the evidence would come available to us. And this evening, I'm going to say, strap yourself in, because you're in for a particular ride this evening, and a particular ride to understanding who that it is that is the leader of British Unionism today, and where that it is that that leader has been over the past week, whenever. We are in times of constitutional crisis here in Northern Ireland. Let's remember, in 2016, there was a Brexit referendum. The 23rd of June in 2016, and 17.4 plus million people, they voted to leave the dictatorial Ponzi scheme that is the EU. That's exactly what it is. It's what's known as the EU, the European Union. And, well, 17.4 plus million people voted to leave that union and to remain part of a better union, the greatest union that the world has ever seen. That is the union of the United Kingdom. And seemingly, some of our own British Unionist leaders, whilst they, I'm going to say, pretend to be working for and on behalf of the Unionist electorate here in Northern Ireland, well, their words don't actually match their actions. And we're going to unfold something that I believe that no one else could unfold in the way that we could, because sometimes circumstances permit. Sometimes you find yourself in a position in where that, well, it's often said, it was said by my mum, that things happen for a reason. And quite a few years ago, a particular thing happened in my life which found me in particular circumstances, which found me in front of Jeffrey Donaldson, looking into his eye and asking him a real question. And I believe whenever I ask this question, I believe from the bottom of my heart that Jeffrey Donaldson didn't know how to look and where to look whenever this question was posed. And you're going to learn this evening as to my authority to speak about this particular subject, and how that it is that I would understand this subject better than, I'm going to say, better than anyone here in Northern Ireland. Well, except for Jeffrey Donaldson himself. And if he was here sitting in front of me, I'm sure that he would confirm. Anyway, watch this screen, watch this space, and understand what we're about to unfold. As I say, it may be hard to understand for some, but we're going to try to keep things simple, and it may be unpalatable for others who do completely understand what we're about to show. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to appeal to the people on our screen. And look, honestly, every time that we come on here from across the channels, let me explain how this works. Social media, they don't propagate the message that we are here to expand on. So what we rely on is that we rely on the good people of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland to propagate our message, to share, to like, to ensure that our message gets out to others. So what I'm going to ask right now is I'm going to ask the people on the live chat to share this message, to groups within social media land, closed groups, open groups, closed pages, open pages, your own pages. Share this to far and wide, wherever that it is that you can, because this is an exclusive here in Northern Ireland this evening. And I believe, like previous streams that we've done here on Restore, I believe that you people, that other people, that anyone with a vested interest in the continuation of the United Kingdom within, or Northern Ireland within the United Kingdom, I believe that anyone has a vested interest in ensuring that the United Kingdom becomes, or should stay one. Well, I believe that it is up to you to share it to those people so that they can hear what we're about to unfold. Now, I'm going to look at the live chat for a moment before that we move on, because we do want to wait to see the numbers going up. And the numbers are going up. They're going up higher and higher and higher. And let me just explain again how this works. Is that from Restore UK on Facebook, from the British Unionist People's Voice on Facebook, what can happen is that you can actually share this channel, and from there it's shared into closed groups, it's shared into open pages, closed pages, wherever, And from there, other people then get to view this live channel. And I like to see what is happening to those numbers right now. The numbers on your screen don't represent the true figure because it's coming from everywhere into this broadcast software to which we use. And look, I'm good to go because the numbers are good. We're smiling, and it's down to you, the people who has actually helped us to do this evening. So here we go. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We are here, as I say, for an exclusive here in Northern Ireland to explain to people what is actually happening behind their backs. And isn't it good that because we do what we do, that some people, they come when they see something, some people, whistleblowers, we're not going to explain who our sources are, but they come and they tell us what it is that we need to be keeping our eye on. So we go, we do the research, and well, these are the type of things that we come up with. Now, I smile, but this is no smiling matter. This is no happy stream. This is purely a stream in where that you will get to understand who that it is that represents you and who that it is that doesn't represent you, who that it is working for and on behalf of British Unionism, and who that it is working for themselves. Well, what we're going to start by doing this evening is that we're going to start by playing something. I want to play this specifically, and the reason why that I want to play this particular thing specifically is because there are some from within the DUP. And not to let the UUP off the hook, but they are not who we're here to speak about this evening, even though the title of this screen was about the DUP and the UUP leadership fiddling whilst British Unionism potentially burns. Well, we were able to complete the jigsaw that we were putting together with a phone call and several meetings over the weekend. And now that we are complete to go, we can stand here, we can share this information, we can speak this information without fear of the liable lawyers coming down our line. And why? Well, because anything that we go to speak about this evening is absolutely true. And we have proof on what it is that we're about to say. So again, I ask you to brace yourselves. So what I want to speak about before that we move on with what we're doing is that there is a lot of talk from within the DUP specifically about how that it is that the electorate, you people, the people that support British Unionism, the people that have spilt their blood for British Unionism, the people that have fought and died, the people that have fought and been maimed or murdered for what? For trying to ensure that Northern Ireland maintains its rightful place within the United Kingdom. And the DUP, the leadership within the DUP, they have the audacity to suggest that you, the electorate, who supported the DUP in huge numbers in December of 2019, it is your fault because you are causing disunity, because John Yates is causing disunity, because the people of Market Hill who were haranguing Sammy Wilson are causing disunity. But oh no, not the DUP. They have never done anything to cause disunity within British Unionism here in Northern Ireland. People, I have a phrase in mind whenever I think about how that it was the DUP treated the British Unionist electorate in 2019, in December the 12th in 2019, once they swindled you for your vote, once they swindled me for my vote, well, they went and they done completely the opposite of that which they promised the British Unionist electorate that they would do. Once bitten, twice shy. And if we support this conglomerate, well, we've only ourselves to blame for losing Northern Ireland as part of the United Kingdom. And tonight, we are here at Restore UK to show you exactly why that we're in the position that we're in. So here we go. What we want to do is that we want to play a little post that was doing the rounds from Friday evening. Now, I have to explain, people. Last week, I was in England last week. I was there. I had some real good conversations with some real good people, which is perhaps, not perhaps, which has led to me being able to do what it is that I'm doing here this evening. So we have a lot of friends. We've friends in places that you wouldn't actually think that we have friends. But yet of all, they are there, and they have sympathies for the way that it is that Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom is being treated. And with sympathies, and you're about to learn this evening, from right around the world, and in fact, across the world, from a place that you could never imagine. And why? Because these people, as part of the Commonwealth, as part of the, well, they want to remain British. They are Anglophone. They are English-speaking people. And because they've been treated in exactly the same way as we are, well, what we were able to do was we were able to compare what it is that's happening in a far-off land as part of the Commonwealth and what it is that's happening here in Northern Ireland. And in October 2017, me, as a person, I remember stumbling upon this. And I remember thinking that the similarities as to what is happening in a part of the Commonwealth, well, the similarities are absolutely striking in terms when we set it alongside what has happened and what is happening here in Northern Ireland. And I'm going to say, before that we go, is that we are at a more advanced stage than these people are. But however, you're in for very, very, very interesting listening as we go. And there was huge significance as to why that it is that we were putting a jigsaw together just this week, just over the weekend, and finalized it today. And you're going to understand that significance within the next few minutes here on Restore UK Live. So again, what I want to do is I want to ask everyone to share this platform, to tag people into the live chat, because to tag people is to ensure that people get to hear who that it is that those leaders that say that they represent you, who that it is that they actually are. Here we go. Playing a little clip from what happened in Market Hill on Saturday evening. Now, I'm going to play this clip in a way that I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to perhaps stop and start and comment over this clip, because this is very, very essential that we do this in order that people understands why that it is that people, the electorate, the British Unionist people, the Unionist people of Northern Ireland, the Protestant, Unionist and Loyalist people of Northern Ireland, why that it is that they feel aggrieved with reference what it is that their leaders have been doing in the name of British Unionism in Northern Ireland. Here we go.
Can I just say something to you? Can I just say something to you? Do you really think that the kind of division which some are seeking to display here tonight is going to give any fear to our enemies? It will give succour to our enemies.
Done United, withdraw your candidate.
We're facing an election. We're facing an election. We are facing an election which is going to bring a deciding factor in how the UK government and the EU view the future of Northern Ireland. I can tell you one of the things that the EU are seeking to do.
We are seeking an election. And what happens here tonight, this is me paraphrasing, what happens will dictate how the EU views Northern Ireland. Can you believe what you're just hearing? Is that here are people, here is a leadership of a DUP party, here are the exact people, the very people that most people on this channel this evening, that most people that will come to watch what it is that we're unfolding this evening. Here it is that these people, the DUP, that we rallied behind, that some of us put our hands in our own pockets to pay for insurances and halls, to bring people together, to rally support. Here it is that these people that the TUV completely stepped aside for, here it is that these people that Jim Allister would have walked the streets for, standing his candidates down in 2019, in order to ensure that the DUP could be the biggest party within British Unionism. And how did they repay us? How did they repay us? They repaid us by going back on everything that they ever promised us before the election. You know, they went back on everything. They said that they would stand tall, that they wouldn't be agreeing to a so-called Irish Language Act. They wouldn't be agreeing to anything which comes close to an Irish Language Act. And I'm talking about, namely, an Irish Language Commissioner, which is as good as an Irish Language Act. And yet, a few days later, in January of 2020, after swindling your vote, after swindling my vote, after hoodwinking us, after by deception, taking our vote, well, a few days later, what did they do? They completely shafted the British Unionist electorate in Northern Ireland. Now, I'm going to ask a question to the people on the live chat. Can you trust the DUP? Will you trust the DUP? How is it that we could ever come to trust the DUP again? After having what was as close to unionist unity that we've ever had in my lifetime, when everyone from within the loyalist community, everyone from within the British Unionist community, from everyone that we spoke to, that we rallied this country for, from the Ulster Hall to Newtownards to Bangor to Rathcoole to Portadown to Armagh to Fermanagh to North Coast, all around this country, people in their droves came out in support of the DUP. And why? Because they promised certain things. And those certain things was that they promised that they would not turn back on the commitments that they made to the British Unionist electorate. They promised that they wouldn't be doing anything, that they would stand tall against IRA aggression against our community, that they would stand tall against the persecution, the prosecution of military veterans who served and protect this country. They promised that they would do these things. And here we are in February, almost March of 2022. And have they stood tall? Have they capitulated? Have they placated? Have they appeased? Have they, there are more words in which we could use, but they have committed everything to placating, appeasing, capitulating to those that mean us most harm. And still, they suggest that we need to compromise some more. Just a few weeks ago, I showed you how that it was that Jeffrey Donaldson wants to make peace with his enemies. Enemies, I add, that doesn't want to make peace with him. And now understand the feeling, the depth of feeling in Market Hill last week, whenever you hear ordinary people shouting traitor, shouting, we can't trust you people, we won't trust you people, we're not listening. I lay this at the door of the DUP. The DUP were the people that hoodwinked, swindled the British Unionist electorate here in Northern Ireland, and the DUP are completely responsible for possibly creating the biggest disconnect that British Unionism in Northern Ireland has ever seen. Let me explain something. When I say British Unionism, I mean Protestants, Unionists and Loyalists combined. I like to use the one terminology. I don't like these divisional names. But the DUP are completely responsible for causing that disunion. What was it that Carson said? Carson said, when is a unionist not a unionist? When he causes disunity. when he causes disunion, the DUP hierarchy are complicit in causing the same disunion of which Carson spoke about just over 100 years ago. You would think that Carson's words were meant for today. And here we have the DUP. Here we see, we hear, we witness Sammy Wilson just after the things that happened in Market Hill last week, because he was hurt. Because he was hurt because of what his party done. He went to the media and he was stoking up division. He was blaming the TUV. He was blaming Jim Allister. They were, in other words, they were trying to create the circumstances in where that they could shift the focus off them for what they done, when it is those people, the DUP leadership, the DUP hierarchy, who are solely to blame for the position in which that we find ourselves in today in 2022. Solely to blame. No one else's fault. They caused the disunity. They were the people who shafted the British Unionist electorate in December, shortly after the December period in 2019. Lest we forget. Let's play on. Let's listen to this. Don't go anywhere. Continue to tag people into the live chat, because you haven't seen anything yet.
Is to wait until after this election to ensure that there's a change in the political landscape in Northern Ireland, which they will exploit. And I would have thought that what you should be doing here tonight is uniting.
Withdraw your candidate, not unite unionism.
I'm going to say, to add insult to the injury that these people have already caused, they have the audacity to blame the disunity on you, the electorate. They have the audacity to blame what happened in Armagh last week, what happened in Market Hill last week, when over 10,000 people gathered in protest at this constitutional changing EU protocol, and the DUP have the audacity to try to blame you, the electorate. Instead of saying, we got it wrong, we beg for forgiveness. But oh no, they won't beg for forgiveness. In fact, there were two people. I know that one of these people is in Portadown Orange Hall as we speak, so he can't confirm. But there was myself, another man from the Mid-Ulster area, and a man from within this channel who stood at the Dromore meeting just a few weeks ago. And Jeffrey Donaldson came past us at the very end, after that I had challenged Jeffrey Donaldson on stage in Dromore. And I, as a person, I said, nothing personal, Jeffrey, just politics. So Jeffrey said, well, okay, John, I don't take anything personal. But then he went on to say that, well, let's just see what happens in the election. Not even a sorry, not even an admission, not even an acknowledgement that they caused a disconnect, that they shafted the British Unionist people in December of 2019. These people, well, they have lost the run of themselves, people, in my honest opinion. And that I am about to show you yet again here on Restore UK. And brought to us because we have friends. We have friends in England. We have friends further afield within the Commonwealth. And this evening, people, hang on, strap in, because we're going to take you on a journey in where that you can make up your own mind as to who that are the so-called leaders of British Unionism here today in Northern Ireland. Now, we find ourselves in a very vulnerable position here in Northern Ireland. And I've only got to thank God for the fact that we have the TUV, which are waiting in the wings to mop up that disconnect caused by the DUP in 2019, caused by the UUP well, they're not worth worrying about. In saying that, they are never found wanting the UUP whenever that the pan-nationalist front is looking for some useful idiots to promote and to provide the illusion of cross-community support. That's what the UUP do. That's what we've come to expect of the UUP. But don't be fooled by the DUP. At least the UUP are telling you straight to your face that they don't support you, that they won't support a unionist pact. At least the UUP tell you to your face that they support the Belfast appeasement. That's what they tell you. At least we know where those people stand. But what's worse? Someone who lies to your face, someone who asks for support, then lies to your face. They ask for support, then they lie to your face, is what was in the words of a poem which is aired regularly here on Restore UK. So here we go, people. Huge numbers, and we're good to go. We're absolutely good to go. So what I want to do is that I want to start off by showing people, some people know about this. I'm aware that politicians know about this, at least. I was talking to some people last evening with reference to our findings, and yeah, some people actually know about this, but not a lot of people from within our community actually know what has been happening in the past few days. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by popping up a picture. Now, this is very, very, very important. In fact, this is of paramount importance that you understand what is going on in the world of globalization and how that it is that your leaders, your so-called leaders, well, are they working for you? Are they playing for themselves? Or are they working for someone else? That's multiple choice, and you can decide for yourself whenever it is that we unfold what we're here to unfold. So here we go again, exclusively here on Restore. Well, you know how exclusive that we can be. You only have to go back just a few weeks to see that we do things that other people don't do, that we sometimes do things that other people are not prepared to do, that we are prepared to stick our heads above the parapet in order that our community, that my community, that your community isn't treated like second-class citizens in their own land. How many people had to die for being British in our own land? Murdered at the hands of Republican terrorists. And what for? For our own unionists to, as Jeffrey Donaldson's own words would suggest, for him to want to make peace with an enemy, with his enemies, that they don't want to make peace with him. Here we go. We're not hanging on any longer. The numbers are brilliant. Here we go. So whilst people were in Market Hill last week, I personally, I was in England last week, and I was watching from afar. This is the joys of social media. And I heard that some people were saying that Jeffrey Donaldson was due on a platform in Market Hill. Well, I'm actually going to confirm here this evening for some people that it appears that Jeffrey Donaldson was not due on a platform in Market Hill. In fact, DUP, and I can tell you this, that the DUP press office has confirmed, and this might be news to the DUP press office that I know this, but there you go. We're just putting out that there are whistleblowers, and they know now that there are whistleblowers because I'm able to say this. So the DUP press office have confirmed that Jeffrey Donaldson had never suggested that he was going to Market Hill. So the suggestion that Jeffrey Donaldson did not appear in Market Hill last week, well, that suggestion appears to be unfounded. And why? Have a look at this picture, people. Have a look at the picture that's sitting in front of you. Now, I'm going to ask people to listen very, very carefully to what we have to say. Listen very, very careful to the voices that you're going to hear that are going to come on here very, very shortly. And we're going to follow this up with voices who are more local, who knows a lot about what you see in this picture, who probably aren't prepared to put their face on screen for what it is that they're going to tell us. However, I can confirm totally that these voices are a true representation of why that it is that wee Jeffrey is sitting at the table that he's sitting in. Now, last week when people were in the Market Hill, over 10,000 people in protest at the greatest constitutional crisis that Northern Ireland ever has had. Yeah, the greatest constitutional crisis that we are facing. At the time, whenever we are facing a huge trade crisis, in where that the reorientation of trade, which used to go between England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland and vice versa back the other way, at a time whenever that trade, as a result of the constitutional changing EU protocol, at a time when we face both trade and constitutional crisis within Northern Ireland, the leader of British Unionism, well, he had another trade mission in mind. It wasn't the trade constitutional crisis in Northern Ireland. Oh, no. It was a trade mission to a place called Yaoundé, which is in Cameroon. Now, I'm going to give you the genesis of what it is that you're looking at right now. And I would be positioned more than anyone in Northern Ireland to speak about this. I would be positioned more than anyone to speak about what you're seeing in front of your face. I would be positioned more than anyone to speak about this because I have spoke personally with Jeffrey Donaldson with reference his associations with this country. And we're going to dig deep, we're going to drill in, and we're going to show you where the genesis of this picture began for Jeffrey Donaldson and who that it is that I believe that Jeffrey Donaldson was working for and on behalf of whenever he first entered Cameroon. When he first told me that he was in places like Bamenda, when he was in places like Yaoundé, when he was in places in the what's known as the Anglophone English-speaking side of Cameroon. And we're going to talk about this, and I want you to understand everything that we're saying, because if you listen and understand what it is that we're about to show you, well, you're going to understand who that it is that Jeffrey Donaldson is. And we're going to ask the question yet again. Is Jeffrey Donaldson working for you? What does he have as paramount? Does he have the trade between Northern Ireland, England, Scotland and Wales, and the constitutional trade crisis that we have here in Northern Ireland? Does he have that as paramount? Or does he have his trade mission to Yaoundé? Just last week, when 10,000 people were standing in Market Hill in direct opposition to the constitutional changing EU protocol, which has caused the circumstances in where that we are economically attached now and reorientated towards the Irish Republic and being fed by the EU as opposed to the UK internal market. So here we go. We want to look at a couple of little clips here. I want to read from them, and then we're going to move on. And I'm asking people to follow this very, very carefully, because this is stuff that some people won't understand. This is stuff that people that do see what we're trying to get at, well, you're going to see things in a completely different way at the end of this stream. So again, I ask that if you have anybody that needs to hear this, tag people into the live chat. And anything that we say here, well, we're not frightened of libel lawyers. And why? Because we have proof of what it is that we're about to expose. We have proof, complete proof of what it is that we're about to say and suggest. So here we go. Picture number 2. So Sir Geoffrey made his first visit to Cameroon this week after being named as trade envoy last summer. The Northern Ireland politician visited a divided nation described by Transparency International as the most repressive and corrupt state in Africa. I'm going to slightly read that again, and I'm going to give you a bit of context. Because as I say, I'm a man and I'm going to explain this that could tell this story better than anyone in Northern Ireland. And you'll understand my reasoning for telling you this as we go. So Sir Geoffrey has made his first visit to Cameroon this week after being named as trade envoy last summer. The Northern Ireland politician visited a divided nation. Now, he visited a divided nation. Let me give you some context, and I want to pop this picture up. In October 2017, I was in a hotel room in a foreign country, and I remember seeing what was on television. And I was with someone from this so-called divided nation. Pop it up again. The Northern Ireland politician visited a divided nation described by Transparency International as the most repressive and corrupt state in Africa. So I was with someone from this divided nation. And in October 2017, this divided nation, namely Cameroon, which was made up of imagine Northern Ireland. This is how I best explain this. Imagine Northern Ireland. Imagine that you had, the Irish Republic. Imagine you had Northern Ireland, a divided nation, so to speak. Imagine that the divisions was over land. Imagine that there were people within that divided equation, the Northern Ireland people, that were happy to hold on to what they've got. They don't want to aggress upon the Irish Republic. They don't want to steal their land. They don't want to encroach upon their land. In other words, people from Northern Ireland are not now and never have been the aggressor trying to consume land. People from Northern Ireland were born British in Northern Ireland, having a British birthright. And aggressors, namely Republican Irish nationalist aggressors, namely Irish Republican governments in the Republic of Ireland, them people want to consume Northern Ireland as an entity. Those people want to remove Northern Ireland from the rest of the United Kingdom. Those people have joined together with globalists, those with globalization in mind, to remove you from Northern Ireland. And you have to understand this to understand where that it is that Geoffrey Donaldson is right now. He may be back today, but I'm going to tell you, explain to you, and let you listen to some words from that very nation as to what it is that Geoffrey Donaldson is doing there right now. So imagine understanding Cameroon just like Northern Ireland. So I'm in a hotel room with someone from this divided nation in October 2017. And I see the newspaper or the television reports in where that the southern Cameroon, where Geoffrey Donaldson is right now, or was certainly up until maybe yesterday, the day before, where Geoffrey Donaldson is right now. Those people, what I could see on the television in front of me, they were aggressed upon in January of 2017 by the equivalent of the Irish Republic coming and trying to consume Northern Ireland. They were aggressed upon, but they had it in agreement from way back in the 1940s, I'm told. In the 1960s, this agreement was renewed and renewed again at a later date. And don't be holding me to the dates, but this is what people from the Cameroonian nation had told me, that they were aggressed upon back then by the Francophone side of Cameroon, the north, which wanted to consume the English, Anglophone, English-speaking Cameroonians who were happy to have the Judeo-Christian values that they had, who were happy to have been brought up in the way of life that you, I, and everyone else here in Northern Ireland was brought up in. And the more that I speak to these people, the more that I understand that those people, although they may have a different color of skin, they live within the Commonwealth and they are just exactly the same as us. They are not aggressors. They are people who are happy to be English, who are happy to be Anglophone, who are happy to have been brought up the way that they were brought up, and they owe a lot to and I'm going to say, this sounds like a bad word, but the colonization of British influence within the southern Cameroon region, known as the Anglophone side of Cameroon. So if you imagine that their circumstances, this is what I was watching, this is what I was learning, that their circumstances are similar to ours. In fact, I thought, and I said at the time, this is what's happening in Cameroon. It bears a striking similarity to what has happened in Northern Ireland from 1993 going forward. Now let me explain to you the genesis of this picture. And this is something that I have talked to Jeffrey Donaldson face to face about. The genesis of this picture, in where you see Jeffrey Donaldson. Jeffrey Donaldson sitting with a man with a white, I'm going to say like a dress on, a traditional dress, and, you know, a traditional hat. You know, Jeffrey Donaldson sitting with this man and other people, as you can see, from Cameroon sitting around, and he's on a trade mission to Cameroon. So the genesis of this picture is when Jeffrey Donaldson was asked to go to, now this is something that I can talk about without fear of libel. Some people won't like what I'm about to say, but you see, whenever my country is being threatened in exactly the same way, whenever my place within the United Kingdom is being threatened, whenever the people that claim to be my leaders, your leaders, are what I can see playing for themselves, getting their feet under a globalist table, wanting to make peace with enemies that don't want to make peace with them, in order that they can be recognized as peacemakers, as they can build their persona, they can build their their criteria up across the world, whilst the DUP leadership fiddles, potentially British Unionists, and Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom, it burns. It burns. And you remember what I've just said there. So the genesis of this picture is when Jeffrey Donaldson was asked to go to Cameroon. Somewhere between October 2017 and October 2018. So not long after a bloody civil war had broke out in this southern Cameroon. Now let me explain to you why that it was that the war broke out. The aggression from the Francophone north of Cameroon was this. Now listen to the striking similarities between what happened there and what is happening here in Northern Ireland, and what has happened here in Northern Ireland and what is happening there right now. Is that in January of 2017, the Francophone north of Cameroon, where the parliament was, they decided that they were going to force French-speaking teachers into the English-speaking schools in the English Anglophone side of Cameroon. Now, these people were happy to be English speakers. These people were happy to have their Judeo-Christian values. These people were what could be best described as the type of people that you would see in an American gospel type choir. This was these people. And these people were being aggressed against in a way that language was being used to consume their land. What else happened in January of 2017? Not only did the Francophone north of Cameroon, where the parliament was, try to consume the southern area, which was Anglophone, but they changed the system of law from English common law to civil law. And the difference between that, people, how that's best explained, is that under common law, you are innocent until proven guilty. Under civil law, how I understand it, is you are guilty. And it is up to you to prove yourself innocent if anyone would suggest that you've done something on them. I mean, how corruptive a system is that? And the lawyers from within the English Anglophone side of Cameroon, well, they were having none of it. The teachers from within the English Anglophone side of Cameroon, who were happy to have been brought up in a British way of life, They were having none of it. The teachers did not want French-speaking teachers in their schools teaching the children, the English Anglophone children, how to be French. In other words, they seen an aggression, they seen an attempt at consuming them, and they were having none of it. So shift on to October 2017, when I was in a hotel with someone from Cameroon, when they told me, whenever we seen that there was an uprising in 2017, the uprising, it resulted in a bloody civil war. Now let me explain how brutal and how bloody that civil war was. That civil war was so bloody that I have seen, I can show anyone, I have the proof of English Anglophone Cameroonians with babies strapped to them and being shot to death with AK-47s by French-speaking soldiers in military uniform. Enough to wind that community up in the English Anglophone side of Cameroon, enough to wind the men of that community, that decent community that never aggressed amongst anyone or upon anyone, enough to have that Commonwealth state go into turmoil, and to have the people in the southern Cameroon stand up against the aggression that was being made against them by the North Anglophone side or Francophone side of Cameroon. So roll in Jeffrey Donaldson as a quote-unquote peace envoy somewhere between October 2017 and October 2018. Okay, I did have this conversation with Jeffrey Donaldson. I guess he was gobsmacked at my knowledge on what was happening in Cameroon. And given that whenever we had this conversation, and he had told me that he was in Cameroon, sharing, ready for it, and I'm going to tell you the organization that does this in a moment. This is how I can speak like no one else can, is that he was sharing his experiences in this wonderful peace process that has happened in Northern Ireland. He was sharing his experiences in how to create peace. He was sharing his experiences on how that he built peace in Northern Ireland. How did that peace work out for you in Northern Ireland? How did that peace work out for the veterans in Northern Ireland, whilst IRA terrorists have immunity from prosecutions, whilst IRA terrorists have had Queen's pardons, on the run letters, whilst they effectively have immunity from prosecution, whilst they are in the position in a government in where that they can continue to wind things up and destabilise Northern Ireland? How is that peace process to which Jeffrey Donaldson was promoting in Cameroon, sharing his experiences, quote unquote, on the Northern Ireland peace process? How can you share experiences on an appeasement process, on a process that was designed to have only one outcome? That outcome is a border poll, after which every 7 years that border poll occurs until the answer finally occurs that Northern Ireland would be consumed, just like the English Anglophone side of Cameroon. They would be consumed within this I'm going to say, this corporate, this is what's happening in Cameroon in exactly the same way as it happened in Northern Ireland. And here we had Jeffrey Donaldson out sharing his experiences on this great Northern Ireland peace process. How can any self-respecting unionist say that the Northern Ireland peace process was a great thing, is a great thing, and is a template for how to create peace around the world? Who is Jeffrey Donaldson working for? Who was he working for? What is it that he does? What is he involved in? Well, here we can see the Right Honourable Jeffrey Donaldson, Director for the Centre for Democracy and Peace Building, which has its roots in the CIA manipulating into place the circumstances in where the communities could come together here in Northern Ireland. Now, that isn't who that Jeffrey Donaldson, who I believe, and now this is where I get, and I have to be protecting myself in the libel court, because I can't prove who that he was working for. I can certainly match up who that it is that were, that continue to be and are doing this across the world. What institution uses the template of the Northern Ireland peace process in contested lands, in conflict zones right around the world? What institution actually does that? Well, there's an institution which is based in Queen's University in Belfast. They call that institution the George Mitchell Institute for Global Peace. Now, they've added some more title to the end of that, and we're not going to get into that big long title. But in essence, what is the George Mitchell Institute for Global Peace? Well, it is exactly as it would be described in the title. I can remember looking Jeffrey Donaldson in his eye in October of 2018, 1 year after the bloody civil war in Cameroon. That happened in October 2017. I met Jeffrey Donaldson in his office in October 2018. And I looked him straight in the eye when he told me that he was in Cameroon sharing his experiences in the Northern Ireland peace process. And I looked at him and I just, I commented along the lines of, when's the George Mitchell Institute get there? Or something to that effect. Or is the George Mitchell Institute there yet? I used words to that effect. And I could see the blood drain from that man's face. And there are people which I could line up here on Restore, which I've told successfully from that moment on, that I believe, now this is my belief, and I'm entitled to believe something in a democracy, and it's up to Jeffrey Donaldson to come and dispute what I'm about to say. It's not up to him to label me. In a democracy, in a land which is built upon stability, in a land where freedom of speech would occur, where freedom of expression, your right to point out corruption, your right to say what it is that you see, expecting a reasonable answer. Well, I'm expecting a reasonable answer whenever I say that I have believed from October 2018, from what Jeffrey Donaldson told me, I believe that he works for the George Mitchell Institute for Global Peace. Now, let me explain to you, and I have to do this so that we can move on, because don't go anywhere yet. Tag people into the live chat. You're going to hear other voices telling you of what is happening in Cameroon and who that it was that Jeffrey Donaldson has been spending time with over the past few days. Now, when we match Jeffrey Donaldson up with the character to which he spent the time with in the last few days, when 10,000 people were in Market Hill, disputing and contesting and protesting against the greatest constitutional and trade crisis we've ever had, Jeffrey Donaldson was standing alongside a mirror image of Jeffrey Donaldson in Cameroon. Whilst everyone else is here fighting the good fight and protesting against this protocol, well, now, and I'm going to be able to show, and you're going to be able to listen and understand what I believe is paramount in this so-called leader of British Unionism's mind. Isn't it well that we have friends? Isn't it as well that we can call upon these people? These people can call upon us, that these people can share things with us in a way that we would never, ever, ever actually get to know. So what is it that the George Mitchell Institute does? Let's recap. They use the template of the Northern Ireland peace process to solve conflicts all around the world. Remember what Jeffrey Donaldson went to Cameroon to do between October 2017 and 2018? He went to share his experiences in the Northern Ireland peace process. This wonderful peace process, this brilliant peace process, which works for British Unionism. Now, I smile when I say that, because it's laughable. It's almost laughable that this man seems to be serving two masters, that this man seems to be riding two horses, that this man, whilst he says that he's working for and on behalf of you, his actions would actually dictate something completely different. So what we want to do again is that we want to return to this, two more portions of text, and then we're going to move on with some testimony from a man from Cameroon who has been exiled a journalist who had the nerve to stand up against the corruption, against the aggression, against the attempted takeover bid of the English Anglophone side of Cameroon. This man has been exiled. This man is an exile. And this man, well, he's an exile because that he stood up against the corruption that was happening in a land that he loved, under a system in which that he had come to love, and under a system in which he wanted his children to grow up in. That system, my friends, is known as the Commonwealth. That system is known as the Anglophone English-speaking system that is located in southern Cameroon, which is now known as Ambazonia. In October 2017, the southern Cameroon declared independence from the aggressor in the north, or the northern Cameroon. So let's look at this text, and then we'll move on. So Sir Geoffrey made his first visit to Cameroon this week, just this week, when everybody was protesting after being named as a trade envoy last summer. The Northern Ireland politician visited a divided nation, which I've told you how divided it was, described by Transparency International as the most repressive and corrupt state in Africa. And I can lay testament to that from the fact that I have had that time and time again from people that have told me what it is that Geoffrey Donaldson is fostering better relationships with, and we'll explain that in a moment. So Sir Geoffrey was seen posing for the camera with the controversial chief. Now, this is very important, right? The chief, Ikoko Muketa, whose chieftaincy title is still being contested deep within the Bafa royal family in Kumba, and he is considered by many English-speaking Cameroonians as a traitor. Now, I want to focus on this for a moment. So Muketa, as we will refer to this man, Muketa, well, his title is being contested deep within the Bafa royal family in Kumba and the Bafa area within the Bafa people. Well, he is considered by many English-speaking Cameroonians as a traitor. Now, if Geoffrey Donaldson is riding two horses, if Geoffrey Donaldson, and this is a question again, if he's working as a globalist, if he is working, selling this wonderful Northern Ireland peace process as a template to create peace in other parts of the world, and we know that he's doing that, why isn't he saying, well, this isn't a wonderful peace process, that this peace process doesn't work for our people, that this process was made and constructed on constructive ambiguity. And Jonathan Powell, we have this from Jonathan Powell, where he's actually explained this, that the Belfast Agreement, the Good Friday Agreement, isn't worth the paper that it's written on. So why isn't Geoffrey Donaldson? Now, he did say to me in Dromore, when I asked the question, do you support the Belfast Agreement? He says that, no, he doesn't. He doesn't support it. But here he is in Cameroon. He's out promoting it. He was firstly out in Cameroon October 2017, October 2018, somewhere between that time frame, maybe several times between that time frame, he was promoting the benefits of this wonderful peace process, which is one-sided, which is an appeasement process. You remember that. Geoffrey Donaldson promoting this peace process as a template to solve conflict in other parts of the world. So here we look at this, is that the man that he was standing with, Muketa, and this is the man in the picture that I'm going to show you with, he is considered by many English-speaking Cameroonians as a traitor. A traitor. Many people can see through Muketa. Many people have seen how that Muketa has attached himself to the Francophone regime in the north, in northern Cameroon, which wants to consume the good people, the English-speaking Anglophone English people of northern Cameroon. Muketa has aligned himself with those people. Muketa has many business interests in that land. Now, let me explain to you why Geoffrey Donaldson was there just last week. His title within Cameroon has now changed, and now he isn't a peace envoy sharing his experiences in the Northern Ireland peace process. He has progressively progressed in this world of progressives, where progressives progressively consume those that want nationality, those that want to represent and want to maintain the land in which they live, the birthright, the Britishness within Northern Ireland that they grew up within. Well, progressives progressively want to remove that from you. So Jeffrey Donaldson progressively became, from the quote-unquote sharing his experiences as the peace envoy, to now, what is he? He's now a trade envoy within Cameroon, dealing with this man, Makata, to which many of these English-speaking Cameroonians say he's considered by many English-speaking Cameroonians as a traitor. Now, how much of an irony is that in where that wee Jeffrey wants to make peace with his enemies that don't want to make peace with him? Wee Jeffrey said in the TED Talk that he wanted to bring the people with him, and he had to move the people, this is me paraphrasing, incrementally. What if the people don't want to go? What if the people are happy with their Britishness? What if the people are happy with Northern Ireland as it stands? What if the people are happy to be British in the United Kingdom? What if Jeffrey, and this is a question, is not working for you, but working for someone else, trying to incrementally move you towards this new Ireland? Vote for the UUP and get a fast march into the United Ireland, this new Ireland, to which they bang on about, in where they say that your rights are going to be respected. Vote for Jeffrey Donaldson. Vote for the DUP under Jeffrey Donaldson. And I make no apologies for saying this. Vote for the DUP under Jeffrey Donaldson's leadership, and well, get a slower march into this so-called new Ireland. And Jeffrey Donaldson has never demonstrated anything to the contrary of which I say. So here's a question for Jeffrey. If I'm wrong, come and talk to me. Come and dispute it. Come and allay my fears. Come and allay our fears. Come and show why that it is that I believe that you work for the George Mitchell Institute. Then understand what it was that a professor from the George Mitchell Institute told me, and I have in writing. He said that Britain for the British, that Ireland for the Irish, that America for the Americans is unchristian, pernicious, and politically dangerous. That's who the George Mitchell Institute are. The George Mitchell Institute are supported right now by Mr. Biden and co, who has opened their borders, who's wanting to do away with American nation as a nationality, who's America, and they wanting to do away with, they want all borders down, everybody to consume all of the world. And as John Brewer would have said, is that Britain for the British is pernicious, unchristian, and politically dangerous. This is how these people view this. So why is Jeffrey Donaldson working, selling their quote-unquote, their wonderful peace process, their appeasement process to the good people, the English Anglophone people of Cameroon? And now why has he progressed to be a trade envoy to exactly the same place, standing with what is considered corrupt and corruption by the ordinary people of Cameroon? And we're going to let you hear this. We're going to let you hear it for yourself from the ordinary people of Cameroon. And you know something? I hope that he does come and argue with me. I hope that he does come and challenge me on what I'm saying. Because you know why? Because we're going to line people up from Cameroon who will tell you who Makata is, who Jeffrey Donaldson is working with, and, well, why they believe that Jeffrey Donaldson is there in the first place. People, what we're going to do right now is that we're going to play a little video. Now, I'm going to break this video down as we go. This stream will go over a bit this evening, but I'm saying you have to understand what it is that we're showing you this evening. And I hope that this isn't too hard for people to understand, because this is very important. Your future depends on this. Your future depends on who that it is that you trust to be the leader of British Unionism in the up and coming elections in May of this year. Your future, your Britishness, your nationality, your place in the United Kingdom really depends on you making very wise decisions at the ballot box in the next election. Dispute me if you want, Jeffrey Donaldson. We're here for to be disputed with. But we're asking very serious questions of you and your affiliation with who that it is that you're keeping company with, what it is that you're trying to sell across the world as a glorious opportunity to create peace. When in fact that we as British Unionists know that all that this is that you're selling is an appeasement process which is geared towards consuming people, sucking people in, removing what it is that they believe in, and preparing them for globalization. That's my claim, and that's what I'm sticking by. So here we go. We're going to play another little video, people. So watch very, very carefully. Let's look at the live chat for a moment whilst that we do this here. He's easing us into it. Let me just see. Of course, he's working for someone else. They're bought and paid for by ROI, US, British government, and EU. Colin, I would find it hard to dispute anything that you just said there. I would find it hard to dispute that. And that's my honest opinion, having dug deep and understood what I understand. In fact, the deeper that I dig, the deeper that we dig, the more people that talks to us, the more evidence that we get. It's a cesspit of corruption, people. It is a cesspit of corruption that needs to stop and needs to stop now. If you want to protect who that it is that you are, if you want to have a fighting chance, you need new British Unionist leaders. You need people who are, well, who are not happy to try to coax you in with a piece of bread in order to squash your little head. Let's look at some more live chat before that we move on with this little video. The numbers is remaining high. He's easing us into it. Long and short of it, Jeffrey does not give a fiddler. Here we go. Long and short of it, Jeff does not give a fiddler's elbow about any of us. Jeffrey doesn't like when people hold him to account. Well, I can confirm that, George. That is exactly right. Totalitarian tiptoe. I think that's a very, very good way of saying it. Right, here we go. Is Jeffrey slowly walking us down the road? Why would you go with something in a foreign country that goes against what you say, what you want in your own country? It's like helping Sinn Féin getting what they want. Well, they're no better than Jeffrey, by the way, because they are swindling their own people. They are telling people that they're going to have this Irish reunification, when the fact of the matter is that people from the Southern Ireland tell us that you're not allowed to be Irish in your own land anymore. I'm just taking a few of these here. Now I'm just looking again. Here we go, looking for some more. Boris Johnson sent him to Cameroon. Yes, you're absolutely right. He chose. And then there's that Liz Truss. Well, she gives it the thumbs up, and yet she doesn't seem to be doing too well on the Brexit negotiations. And they all seem to be in this club. And Jeffrey seems to have his feet under this table. Jeffrey seems to be taking their jobs, doing their dirty work, promoting a peace process, which doesn't work, promoting a peace process when in fact it is an appeasement process. He seems to be doing this, and yet he's saying one thing to you, and he's doing something completely different in every action that he ever made and makes. So here we go. We're just looking down as we go. Anyway, let's move on. Let's play this video. Hey, people, this is the bit. Now, here we go. I'm just going to pop this up. When power takes over from principles, it's time to leave the stage. And that is something that's a very good saying. And I'm going to ask you, Lorna, if you would send me that in my messenger in case I forget that, because that's a very, very good strapline for Restore UK. Thank you very much for that. Welcome, Lorna, by the way. And let me explain again to the people that's on the chat here that maybe hasn't been here before. But Lorna Smith is the TUV candidate in the Lagan Valley constituency in the up-and-coming election for the MLAs for the Legislative Assembly. Lorna will be standing against Jeffrey Donaldson, perhaps Edmund Poots, certainly Paul Given everything, Paul haven't given everything, Paul that wants to give everything, Paul that, well, let's not go there, but you get the picture of what I'm saying. So Lorna, thanks very much for that saying. That is a very good saying. Send us it by message, and what we want to do is that we want to probably use that when power takes over as principles. It's time to leave the stage. That is very, very good. That is very, very good. I like that. So here we go, people. We're going to move on, and we're going to now play another little video. Now, this, for some, it might be spoken in language which is hard to understand for some people. Now, it's, this is how the Cameroonians from Cameroon, how that they speak. Now, I want you to listen to this, man. I want to explain to you that this is a journalist from within the English Anglophone side of Cameroon. That's the land that's being aggressed against, a bit like Northern Ireland right now. How that the EU and how that the front of the Irish Republic combined with the Republicans, how that they all joined together, talking up the prospect of violence unless that Northern Ireland is separated from the United Kingdom. You see, in the exact same way, in a striking similarity, this is how Cameroon has been aggressed against, and I have been following this from October 2017. And I can say, I can put my hand in my heart, is that I have a lot of Cameroonian friends, and I am best placed to talk about this and best placed to get the information straight out of Cameroon. And this, people, you are going to learn. You're going to learn this very, very shortly. So here we go. What I want to do is that I want to share another little video. So here we go.
Should be struggling to build bridges among the future generations of Southern Cameroonians, not burning them. Mfon Mukete, you know that you are falsehood from start.
So Mukata, this man is talking about. This is the man, Mukata, sitting next to Jeffrey Donaldson here, right? Mukata is a tribal leader. His father was a chieftain. His father, now Mukata came from the English Anglophone side of Cameroon, but the father, apparently, he originated in the north of Cameroon. His father made allegiances with it was a bit like, say, somebody from Northern Ireland making allegiances with the state, the southern state that wants to consume them, that wants to destroy their Britishness, that wants to remove them from the United Kingdom. Mukata's father, as a chieftain, well, he did that. And this man, Mukata, the younger Mukata, he was actually handed quite recently the power and authority within Cameroon. And this is who Jeffrey Donaldson is out in Yaoundé at the minute with. He may be back by now, but he was certainly there when everybody was in Market Hill last week. This is the priority of Jeffrey Donaldson, getting his feet onto the globalist table, talking trade in Cameroon, whenever the trade in Northern Ireland is being decimated, is being destroyed, is being reorientated, is being stolen by the Irish Republic and being fed by the EU, whilst the UK single market is absolutely and utterly being destroyed before our very eyes. And yet Jeffrey Donaldson thinks it's a priority to be in Cameroon dealing with another trade issue, not the trade issue which affects you, I, and everyone else living in Northern Ireland. So what you're hearing from this journalist in exile is how that Mukata is not a man that Cameroonians trust. Let's listen on.
You know that you are falsehood from start to finish. And I like to say this very clearly. Mfon Mukete is a butterfly that thinks itself a bird. Mfon Mukete is not Bafo. Mfon Mukete, you know it, that you are not Bafo, that you are from the same northern zone, from the same grass field that you are castigating and trying to lie against. Mfon Mukete, I know why you are jittery. I know why you are worried. Because you are asking yourself that in a free southern Cameroons, where the rule of law will reign, what is going to happen to you with all what you have done to the Bafo people in Meme County? You have dispossessed them of land. You have taken everything that belongs to them. I know. At a point, every good thing that had to come from the Biya regime to the people of Meme County needed to go only to the Mukete family. That is why your children are everywhere in that system. And
so just to give you a bit of commentary over that, what that man, that exiled journalist from the English Anglophone side of Cameroon is saying is that Mukata, he has his family in every aspect of the aggressor's system. And it is that he's trying to protect, and he has business interests. Now, Jeffrey Donaldson, rightly so, he is out there right now, and this is what he'll say: well, I'm creating trade for the United Kingdom. Jeffrey Donaldson, why are you creating trade whenever the constitutional trade crisis is here in Northern Ireland? The real constitutional crisis and trade crisis is here between Northern Ireland, separated by a border in the North Channel, separating the Northern Ireland British Unionists from the rest of the United Kingdom, and that you're sitting in Cameroon smiling when 10,000 people in the snow is walking in Market Hill protesting against the circumstances to which you claim to stand against. But however, by your actions, you don't actually look as if you're doing it. And what you're doing is that you're standing alongside a regime right out there who ordinary Cameroonians, just like us, just like British Unionists who don't trust, who say that they are selling them out, that are saying that they are leading them into, and you're going to hear this, that are leading them into, picture it like this, people, picture the Southern English Anglophone Cameroons are going to be walked into this new Cameroon, consumed by, just like the Republic of Ireland, like we are going to be walked into this so-called New Ireland. Well, it seems as if Jeffrey's out there, and he first went out there as a peace envoy, talking up this wonderful appeasement process, which doesn't work for British Unionists, and he's selling it to these people as a means to make peace, with his enemies that don't want to make peace with him or them or us. Let me go on.
And therefore, you have to do everything to please that system, even as you pass out to perpetuate your dynasty. We know exactly what you have done to the Bafour people, the criminal things you have done to the Bafour people. We know how you have extorted from them, how you have made their lives difficult over the years. And you know that the only way to keep this is to have a system where the rule of law doesn't reign. Sorry, I'm afraid to disappoint you.
So again, the commentary is that, you have literally shafted the people of the English Anglophone side of Cameroon. You've made yourself rich off their backs. And the only way to maintain what it is that you are, who that it is that you've become, the pleasantries that flows to you, the only way to maintain that is to create a corrupt system of law. Can anyone in Northern Ireland see a corrupt system of law right now? Can anyone see the DUP, certainly by way of Jeffrey Donaldson, can anyone see that whilst he suggests that he's against this, that and the other? Well, who remembers the St Andrews Agreement? Who remembers, the legacy concerns, the Stormont House Agreement, and everything that has ever flowed out of this cesspit of corruption that doesn't work for British Unionists? Who remembers? Well, has Jeffrey Donaldson walked away from this quote unquote peace process, which he has sold to the people in Cameroon as the illusion of a peace settlement, when in fact it is an appeasement process which is designed to, well, let's go on. Let's listen to someone else's words telling you what it is that Jeffrey Donaldson has helped nurture into place in Cameroon.
Southern Cameroons is real, and Bazonia is real, and the rule of law will reign. The time of reckoning will come, and the people of Bafour will duly regain what belongs to them. Mr. Bala, and all those who still run around calling themselves federalists, I think you have learned your lesson. Somewhere in July of 2018, and announced in a video.
Now, we're talking about federalists here. Now, I need to make commentary on this. So, sorry about this. So we're talking about a federalist system. Now, whenever that we look at the project of devolved assemblies right around the United Kingdom, whenever that we look at Westminster being the main parliament, whenever that we look at the Tony Blair and how that what he did was that he allowed for a separate parliament in Scotland, a separate, well, they call them devolved assemblies, but you see how it's happening, is that Scotland have now effectively their own parliament, and they do whatever they want. They don't do as the British government or as Westminster would suggest that they should do. In fact, they fight against them tooth and nail to ensure that they are different. If Westminster does one thing, Scotland is sure to be doing something else. If Westminster does one thing, Wales is sure to be doing something else. If Westminster does one thing, the conglomerate in the Northern Ireland Assembly, which includes the UUP, are sure to be doing something else. Now, then we have this DUP hierarchy, led now by, ready for it, the media's darling. Who remembers whenever the position for the leader of the DUP came up, that the media's darling was Jeffrey Donaldson? It wasn't Edwin Poots. They didn't want Edwin Poots there. They were talking up Jeffrey Donaldson. They were giving him an easy ride. And whenever the corrupt mainstream media would choose a leader for me, well, and choose a leader for you, that's enough for me to say, well, no, thank you. That is not my leader. That would not be my choice of leader. We will choose our own leaders. Thank you very much. The media, the activists in the media, they would choose and promote and propagate the chosen leader, which they think that might actually result in the activists getting exactly what they want. This is what happens in the media. This is known as an agenda, and we see it playing out time and time and time again. Now, we're now getting into very, very serious stuff here, people. And I'm going to tell you that, for some of the things that we've been doing over the past few weeks, and I can rightfully say, I can say with my hand on my heart, in fact, I can say with evidence, with evidence to back up everything that I say, I can say without fear of contradiction that what I say is what we've uncovered, that there are some questions, some relevant questions in there for the likes of Jeffrey Donaldson to ask. And, in a democracy, it is my right to do this. In a democracy, it is your right to do this. It is up to us. It is down to us. It is our absolute right to question everything that our so-called political leaders do. And this is what I'm doing here on Restore. But I'm going to tell people that I am under no illusion as to whenever we're showing this type of thing, whenever that we're comparing what is happening in another country. And believe me, people, I could go a lot further than I've gone right now. I could go a lot further than this. There is a lot more that isn't divulged here. But, whenever that we're unfolding how that it is that this global so-called peace template is being used, the template of the Northern Ireland peace process, how that it's been used across the world. And then we show the players to which is selling this across the world. Well, whenever you're doing that type of thing, I'm under no illusion that I'm putting myself in danger for showing people, for showing people what is going on behind their backs. I'm under no illusion. But something? Sometimes some things are worth exposing. Sometimes some things are worth standing up for. And, well, I've never been one to walk away from anything. I've always been one to follow through in what it is that I'm pursuing. So that's the way that it is. It's like water off a duck's back. And yeah, well, watch this space. Watch for maybe some sort of aggression against me. Watch for a move from the authorities maybe against me. Who knows? Who knows what might be happening? Watch for accusations. Who knows? We've seen it all before. But anyway, until that, well, whilst I can speak, whilst there's breath in my body, whilst there are people who are using their positions to derail British Unionism in Northern Ireland, something that I've always believed in, something that I've held so dear. I'm British. This is my birthright to be British, and no one, not any British government, not any Irish government, not any dictatorial Ponzi scheme, which is the EU, not any mugbeaties of this world, not any Jeffrey Donaldson's of this world. Nobody is going to take that away from me if I've anything to do with that. And I'm sure, in fact, I know that there's a lot of people that follow this channel. There's a lot of people that were in the Market Hill area on Friday night, braving the cold weather, while this man was away on a junket, promoting himself, making himself more acceptable in the global stage, whilst this man, in your time of constitutional crisis, in your time of trade crisis here in Northern Ireland, he's away, furthering what it was that he started somewhere between October 2017 and October 2018. So remember this: sometimes some things are worth exposing, sometimes some things are worth standing up against. Let's play on.
That La République du Cameroon has no plans of ever reverting to federalism. That Minister Laurent Esso wrote a confidential memo to the head of state, informing him that after his tour in Belgium and other parts of the world to meet the diasporans, he had come to the conclusion that there was a federalist trend that was gaining some grounds.
And that man talked about a federalist train that was gaining some ground. And, you know, that is the equivalent. If you look at Northern Ireland, the EU dictatorial Ponzi scheme, the Irish Republic, the very fact that we're separated from the Northern Ireland, separated from the rest of the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, and Wales. And that also, people, is what's known as a federalist train, which is coming down our line. Now, listen very, very carefully to which this exiled journalist puts in words as to what is happening to people that want to maintain their somewhat Britishness, that want to maintain their English Anglophone status, that want to maintain their Judeo-Christian values, who believe in the settlement that was given to them, just like Northern Ireland. In 1921, the Irish Republic, they wanted to go to be a free state. Nobody complained about that. Off you go. Be a free state. No problem. We wish you the best. Bye. And then they want to trail us down a line to which that they wanted to go, and now they're extending, now that they're regressing, now that they're subjecting to creep what it was that they wanted, and they're now trying to trail Northern Ireland away from the rest of the United Kingdom. And they're doing so quite successfully because of people like Jeffrey Donaldson, who would promote a failed peace process, who would promote an appeasement process as a template to create peace for ordinary, decent, peace-loving people of Cameroon who want to maintain their English history and heritage. And Jeffrey Donaldson, by promoting this peace process, now here's a huge quote, let me get a bigger screen for doing this. Jeffrey Donaldson has already used circumstances to swindle these people, to completely swindle these people. How can he live with himself that in an English Anglophone place, a place part of the Commonwealth, how can he live with himself that he is promoting a failed peace process, an appeasement process into place in which federalism can take hold and eventually consume them anyway? They went through a bloody civil war. They have lost many, many, many people. They are peace-loving people. They are decent people. They are genuine people. And swindlers from our neck of the woods is out there waffling, telling them lies, promoting something to be glittery that isn't actually gold. Now, that is a real claim, and I can stand on that claim with my hand on my heart. And if anybody wants to challenge me on that, you know where I am. Come and challenge us here in Northern Ireland, Sir Jeffrey Donaldson. Remember the man that left the Northern... Remember he left the Good Friday appeasement talks in 1997. Remember, he walked away from David Trimble and co. Remember, he went and he joined the DUP. Do you remember that? I remember that. And in fact, I remember him saying that. And more to me last week, whenever I challenged him on did he support the Belfast appeasement, and he said, no, I don't support the Belfast appeasement. I walked away from Mr. Trimble in 1997, and I walked away with my head well down. I was in disagreement with it, and I still disagree with it today. In his voice. Anyway, that was the man that walked away from the appeasement process only to be laden with pleasantries, only to become Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, only to become Queen's Privy Councillor Donaldson, only to become, well, he was an MP, that was because people voted for him, only to become director of the Centre for Democracy and Peace, in which that many offshots from CIA interference here in Northern Ireland has created, only to become the director of that, only to become, first and foremost, the peace envoy to Cameroon between October 2017 and 2018, only to become now the trade envoy to Cameroon, only to become a trade envoy to Egypt. How many jobs does this man have? Can you serve two masters? Can you promote with a straight face the Belfast appeasement as a peace process, as a template to create peace around the world? Can you really do that? Or does it take you to be a special kind of swindler to do that? Does it take you to be a special kind of liar to do that? That's a question. And that is a question which is asked whilst I'm angry because of what I see on this screen in front of me and because of what I hear and because of who I talk to. Let's play on. Let's play on to understand what federalism is, how that federalism will eventually consume those English Anglophone speakers within the south of Cameroon, the people that Geoffrey Donaldson has aligned with their leader, their so-called leader, who they don't trust, who they say is a swindler, who they say that if he moves amongst their people again, he has to make corrupt laws. He has to change the laws in order that it protects him. Who sees this happening? Who sees this happening here in Northern Ireland right before your very eyes? Who sees the circumstances occurring in where that there are all sorts of laws coming down your line via Westminster, via the Northern Ireland Assembly, where it makes it hard to protest, where it makes it hard to stand up against them, where it makes it hard to criticise them? I can do this right now. Soon I will not be able to do this. That's if I'm not in jail for exposing what it is that I'm exposing. But sometimes some things are worth exposing. Sometimes some things are worth standing up for. Sometimes some questions are worth asking in order that we get clear answers. Here we go. Let's play some more.
And so the government should secretly, coyly encourage it, but not because they ever hope to revert to federalism, but just so they should use it as a strategy to break our ranks. Some of you thought that it was a farce. I think today you can see it playing out so well. As far as Mr. Paul Biya is concerned, they have caged Anglophones, as they call us. They have caged Southern Cameroonians.
Now, again, worth a commentary that Mr. Paul Biya, which is the leader of the parliament in the northern francophone side, a man which, I mean, I had the pleasure of spending some time with people on Sunday evening who tells me that Mr. Biya, he's created these wonderful football stadiums for a football tournament in Cameroon. And that's what's been shown to the outside world. Whilst the English Anglophone Southern Cameroon is being aggressed against, has had a bloody civil war. I ask another question. You know, where were the British whenever these people were being subjected to, I'll say it again, I have videos of this, people, ordinary, Judeo-Christian value-loving people, live and let live people. the type of people that would be in American gospel choirs. These people, whilst they were being lined up with their babies strapped to them and being shot by French-speaking soldiers. Where were the British government? Where was the outside world? Where? Well, they're getting into Ukraine right now because of aggression. Why were they not protecting the English Anglophone people of Cameroon? Why is it that this civil war was allowed to ramp up and to happen to such an extent that people were screaming for a solution? You know, problem, reaction, solution. And the solution is that what looks like to me that the George Mitchell Institute has turned up with a solution to the problem, that solution being federalism, in where that the aggressor in the northern Cameroon, well, they get to hold the parliament, and the southern Cameroon gets the illusion of democracy in what we term a devolved assembly, putting the leaders of the uprising in charge of their people. I smile when I say that, people, and I'm going to enhance the screen again. Whenever this happened, and whenever I told you that we came across this in 2017, whilst I was in another country watching a video with someone from Cameroon. And I remember then asking to speak to other people who knew about this conflict inside out. And I got a meeting with some people. And whenever that I was speaking to one person in particular, and I spoke to this man again today, I had told him back then, I says, look, what I see happening here bears striking similarities to what happened in Northern Ireland. In 1993 in Northern Ireland, and we're not going to go on for much longer, there's a wee bit more video to play here, but we have to give a bit of context. In 1993 in Northern Ireland, a lot of people don't understand, but 1993 was one of the bloodiest years in the history of our troubles. Go and read Cian Ulster, examine it day by day by day, and understand why myself particularly, why I would have been standing on the Shankill Road on the 23rd of October 1993, and I would have been standing 15 minutes after the aftermath of the Shankill bomb. And I can remember thinking, this was me thinking, this has to stop. Just after the Shankill bomb, seeing the aftermath, seeing the people been taken from the rubble, this has to stop, because people are recognizing no boundaries in the depths that they're prepared to stoop to get one over in the other community. Then we learn that there is talk of, and this is me just relating what it is that we can see, what it is that has been suggested, what it is that needs drilled into much more. Who has ever heard of collusion? Well, then we hear that bomb that was planted on the Shankill Road, it had a short fuse of supposedly 7 minutes from when the people would have walked from the bottom of Berlin Street round up the Shankill Road, past the young people who were outside the church hall going to play football, whilst one man opened the door and another man went to enter, the bomb blew up. Now, it has been suggested that bomb was tampered with. That bomb was tampered with. Who tampered with it? Was it an informer? Was it someone working for some dark forces? There's a question. And then let's get back to what's happening here. And I stood on the Shankill Road and I thought this has to stop, because people are recognizing no boundaries on the depths that they're prepared to stoop to get one over on another community. And I was crying out that this should stop in October the 23rd of 1993. Now, I categorize myself right now with people from Cameroon who I've talked to at great length, and lots of them, about what has happened there. And these people, just like me, were crying out for a solution to problems like their nearest and dearest, women, children, being strapped with babies, being shot by so-called what appears to be French-speaking soldiers from the north of Cameroon. So this was a bloody civil war beyond anyone's comprehension. And I could show anyone that would want to talk with me that particular video that I'm speaking about with the women and the children. And these people were crying out for a solution. And then comes along the solution. And the solution just happened to be the Northern Ireland peace process solution, in where the template of the Northern Ireland peace process constructed in the George Mitchell Institute for Global Peace, created for to be a template around the world to solve conflicts. Well, that solution was there as a solution to be put in place. And now that when people are now beginning to see what it was that I told them, what was potentially going to happen, I told them after that I had seen this, that this is what I believe that will happen. I believe that the leaders of the uprising will be offered places in a devolved assembly within the southern Cameroon, within the English Anglophone speaking side of Cameroon. I believe that this will happen. I believe that it will be run as like a federal thing, in where that there will be an overseeing parliament, potentially in the Francophone aggressor side of Cameroon, and they will have the illusion of democracy, that the people will think that, well, our leaders are in place. But then whenever you have watched this stream in the past few weeks, you see what the outworkings of the Belfast Agreement is, the Belfast Appeasement, is that there has to be the circumstances in where that the IRA have to be part of it. There had to be the circumstances in where that it didn't matter why they committed a Canary Wharf bomb causing £500 million worth of damage in February of 1996, and that was the point when everyone should have realised that this was an appeasement process. It didn't matter why while Dennis Donaldson, what was it, Agent Whittleworth, is that what they call him? Agent Whittleworth. That's exclusive, by the way. Dennis Donaldson. Wasn't he the man that sat alongside some high-ranking Republicans? Now, I can't speak about these names because we need to protect ourselves in the liable courts. But Agent Whittleworth knew everything. And was Agent Whittleworth around at the time of the Shankill bomb? That's another question. That is another real question. Was he around whenever the bomb that had the short fuse didn't actually get to make its time frame and blew up, blowing 9 innocent men, women and children up on the Shankill Road, killing some of my nearest and dearest friends, I may add. And I guess that's what drives me. That's what drives the injustice of the things that is happening, the corruption, the swindle, the dirty little war which unfolded in Northern Ireland. And now I see the same thing happening in Cameroon. And I were able to say to these people that I believe that this is how things would unfold. And you know, some of those people have periodically come back to me and said, where did you get that crystal ball, John? Where did that crystal ball come from? It wasn't that I had a crystal ball. It was that I seen a particular set of circumstances, and I recognized the same sort of thing happening again. And the end product of what it was that I was looking at is federalism, is the illusion of democracy, is where those that represent you are seemingly in power, when the reality is that there are outside forces who are training them through NGOs, and we learned that just a couple of weeks ago, who are teaching them how to deal with you, who are making them more savvy in the media. All this we have proof of, we have exposed it in the last lot of weeks. And then we ask, and I'm going to ask a real question here, people. And this is to Jeffrey Donaldson, this is to the DUP, this is to Timmy Johnston, this is to anyone else with a vested interest. In fact, let's do it this way. This is a real question. Do you people not see what is happening? Do you people not understand that the end product of what you're working into place, what you're facilitating, what you're pushing into place, what you're persuading into place, do you not understand that the end product is your enemy consuming you? Those that want to see the end of Britishness, those that want to see the end of the United Kingdom, those that want a border in the North Channel, those that want to see British Unionists separated from the rest of the United Kingdom, do you not understand that what you are doing in a capo-like way, perhaps you don't know that you're doing it, and if you don't, now is the time to come clean. But do you not understand that what you're doing is that you are leading your people on a slow march towards this so-called New Ireland, in where my community, in where your community are not, will not, and never will be welcome. This is the way Britishness is treated right now in Northern Ireland, that terrorists are permitted to glorify terrorism, that Michelle O'Neill is permitted to glorify 3 terrorists. Let's talk about that for a minute. Let's just not finish here. Michelle O'Neill is permitted to glorify 3 terrorists on behalf of this cross-community, publicly funded GAA. And where are our British Unionists saying we cannot work in a system that is geared and aimed towards an insult to the injury of those that have lost their lives and to the victims' families? Why is our British Unionists, why do they just do this at the time of election? And then when the election's over, they dispense with their standing up for our community, and they go on getting their feet onto this globalist table. Jeffrey Donaldson couldn't even wait until the election was over. His desire is so paramount to get his feet under a globalist table that he finds himself in Cameroon dealing with trade, when you have the biggest trade, the biggest trade crisis in the history of Northern Ireland, the biggest trade crisis in the history of the United Kingdom. And there's Jeffrey away sorting out the world's problems. People, you could not make this up. You really could not make this up. And I want to, before that we close, we'll go on for just a wee bit more, because there's some more that we have to say, and there's some more that people need to understand. We have to do this, people. We have to do this. Bear with me for a second. It pains me that those that you call a leader, that those that you call leaders, that those that you think are your British Unionists, the leaders, that those that you think are looking after you, they are looking after themselves. They are looking after no one else. They're not looking after the British Unionists' needs, desires, wants, their place in the United Kingdom. They are marching you towards this New Ireland. That you can be assured of. Let's pop this picture up. There's the Northern Ireland Assembly. There is the Northern Ireland Corporate. There is what federalism looks like. Federalism, Europe is okay. They're okay. There's not a question from Europe or the EU or the Irish state as to why that these people can promote people who have murdered, maimed, and killed your loved ones. There isn't a question from this so-called federal Europe with reference why that this so-called publicly funded GAA is well, you know, they're funded highly above all other, and yet they're promoting terrorism. They are the sporting wing of the IRA. That's what they are. They're nothing less. They are sporting wing of terrorists who want to continue to add insult to the injury of their victims. Look at this smiling woman in the Northern Ireland Assembly just a few days ago, glorifying terrorism, glorifying the people who murdered and maimed and killed and slaughtered your loved ones over the years. And yet your unionist politicians want to share power with this. Jeffrey Donaldson wants to make peace with this enemy, who wants to add insult to the injury of the memories of the people who stood up against terrorism who put themselves in danger to stand between a sense of normality and terrorism here in this part of the United Kingdom known as Northern Ireland. How is it that your politicians are happy to work with this, work within this cesspit of corruption, work within this criminal gang headquarters, whilst these type of things are going on? People, leave your thoughts in the live chat. Please do. Now, we're going to finish off by literally playing the rest of what was happening in Cameroon, but I think that you get the picture by now. And we're doing this to document it. And the reason why that we're documenting these things is that because, look, no matter why social media land take this down because it's too uncomfortable for the so-called, quote-unquote, saviors of British Unionism, the so-called leaders, those that want to work with your enemies, whilst your enemies add insult to the injuries of your nearest and dearest who have lost their lives down throughout the years, you know, they may be able to curtail our social media message. They may be able to stop us from propagating our message. They may be able to knock, Restore UK off Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Look, that's up to themselves. They can do whatever they want, but what they can't do is they can't stop us from traveling the streets, the towns, the cities, knocking doors, talking in public meetings, exposing the reality and winning hearts and minds from within our own community against the cesspit of corruption that sits before your very eyes and masquerades as a system that is there to serve and protect you. Because that's what it is. It's a cesspit of corruption. So let's move on. Let's play the rest of this video. Now, I want to do one thing before that we move on. I really do. And I'm going to be reading the comments as we go, right? But I want to do this because this is absolutely essential that this is done here at Restore UK. Again, we've spent a bit of time. Again, I've spent some time in England the last, over a 4-day period there. I spent a lot of time talking to people, researching, not working myself, not bringing the money in to pay my own bills. And I think it needs done, and I think it's worth doing. But something, I'm going to ask people if you can help us, if you can help me, if you can pop a few pounds into our PayPal channel, if you can help us, help you expose what is happening, if you can help us, help you show that there are real questions to be asked of those that call themselves British Unionist leadership, if you can help us expose this. Click on that link, that PayPal link, and put a few pounds into our channel and help us to do the job that needs to be done. Who else is doing this within British Unionism? Who else is going on deep dives? Who else has had the success that we have had in terms of exposing where the secret hideaway of the Irish Department of Foreign Affairs in Belfast? Who done that? Restore done that. Who is it that exposed the fact that the CIA have been working, manipulating into place agents of influence here in Northern Ireland, Chuck Feeney's time since 1984 going forward? Who is it that exposed these things? It is us at Restore. It is no one else that is doing these type of things. I'm going to pop, look, if you can help us, Gail, I'm going to ask you if you could send us a message to our on Restore channel. If you don't have PayPal, we can send you some bank details and you can pop some money into for us. We spend a lot of time doing what we do. As you see, we don't do it. Here, listen, it doesn't matter if we don't get a penny. We'll continue to do it. But isn't it good that we can, the money is there to make the time or to make it easy for us, to pay the bills, to allow us to eat, in order that we can be relentless, in order that we can continue digging, in order that we can stick our heads above the parapet in a way that no one else does. You believe me, people, our politicians detest what it is that we're doing here in Restore. Never before in the history of British Unionism in Northern Ireland, in the history of Northern Ireland, have your politicians been held to account like it is that they're held to account right now. and we will not shirk from those responsibilities. We, whilst they want to be corrupt, we will continue to expose them every single time that they make the wrong move. It's as simple as that. So here we are, asking people to put some money into our live chat, and here we're going to now move along, and we're going to play us out with the rest of this little video, just letting you hear the testament of a journalist from Cameroon who was exiled from Cameroon for exposing the corruption that is going on from within Cameroon. And now we find that Jeffrey Donaldson is working with this corrupt leader. I asked the question, why? I also asked the question, does Jeffrey Donaldson know who it is that he's working with? That's real questions. That's answers that we need. And that's answers that we will put to the people in Cameroon that we know. And we'll find out whether or not the Jeffrey's answer stands up to them. But I suspect that Jeffrey won't come and answer, because that's what he does. He puts things on the long finger and he never answers a question properly. Let's play on with this.
As their slaves, and no master ever deliberately hands over freedom to a slave, or at least gives slaves rights to move from the kitchen into the sitting room, let alone seeking a place on the table. Ever deliberately.
So let me explain. Let's just pick this up. So he's saying that the people, the English Anglophone people in southern Cameroon, are slaves to the Francophone regime, which seeks to consume them. Now, remember, this man is a very well-respected journalist that is now exiled from Cameroon because that he spoke out up against what was happening. So let me just go on and play the rest of this. There's not very much more of this to go on. So remember what he's saying. He says they are slaves to this system that has been put in place, this quote-unquote, this system which would deliver the same thing as a devolved assembly in southern Cameroon. Federalism, he calls it, which in effect means a devolved situation in where that there is a overriding power body which has a succession of small assemblies, which gives the illusion of democracy, when in effect they can't actually do anything, because they're told what to do, how to do it, they're told how to act, when they act it, they're told what to say, when to say it, they're told what to support, when to support it. I kid you not, people, I kid you not, and I can show you the proof of this. The Northern Ireland Assembly is a puppet show manipulated by puppet masters from the outside and bought and purchased into place with huge amounts of, I'm going to say unlimited amounts of money. So here we go.
Hands over freedom to a slave, or at least give slaves rights to move from the kitchen into the sitting room, let alone seeking a place on the table. That doesn't happen. And when I saw my brother, Nkongo Felix Agbobala, begging, virtually crying for mercy, I said, this guy doesn't know a thing. He doesn't understand that the devil doesn't know mercy. Someone cannot be giving you what he or she doesn't have. La République du Cameroun is not a system to trust.
Now, again, I have to comment on that, because for people's understanding here is that he's saying, it's a bit like the EU with Northern Ireland, the devil doesn't know mercy. And you have some people like Mug Beatty, you have some people like Jeffrey Donaldson, and if we hadn't questioned what Jeffrey Donaldson was doing, Jeffrey Donaldson says, well, we need to exploit the benefits of the protocol. That's what he said. But this man is saying, this journalist in Cameroon, that the Francophone devil, just like the EU, it doesn't have mercy. So you can't expect to, plead or plea with these people to get what you want. No, what they want is going to be forced into place no matter what you think. And he's saying, this journalist who's been exiled, he's saying that their people are slaves to this devil that will show no mercy. Just like the EU, we are going to be slaves to this EU dictatorial Ponzi scheme, in which that every single MLA within the Northern Ireland Assembly, with the exception of Jim Wells and Jim Allister. Well, the DUP voted it into place. The UUP voted into place. They voted with the Pan-Nationalist Front to vote the 45 EU rules that flowed from the protocol into place. And Jeffrey Donaldson wanted to exploit the benefits of the protocol. Edmund Poots wanted to export to the Great Britain market from this part of the United Kingdom. Can you imagine? Arlene Foster wanted to work within the protocol because it was here. That's me paraphrasing. Only until ordinary people stood up against them, only until the Market Hill people created a domino effect in where these charlatans that we call leaders, they decided to backtrack and they decided to pretend they were on your side. Let's play on. Let's listen to the story which bears striking similarities to ours in another English-loving British way of life far away across the world in a Commonwealth country known as, well, it's the Southern Cameroon, and they recently, in October 2017, they declared independence and named themselves Ambazonia.
La République du Cameroon is a system of permanent falsehood. I announced earlier that the resolutions of this so-called dialogue had long been prepared, and they were just waiting for the charade to take place, and they announced them. And after that, the reward season begins. Mr. Paul Biya has already picked out the names of 2 11th province people. I guess you understand what I mean by 11th province. Francophones who were born and bred in southern Cameroons and who have adopted the Anglo-Saxon culture and who speak English so well, and because that is, I mean, the language of instruction that they have, you appoint them now as governors in the northern zone and the southern zone to tell the world that after the dialogue, he had decided to send our own people to administer us. Again, that is going to be the worst form of the drama that we are seeing thus far.
So there you have it, people. There you have it. 2 hours and 11 minutes worth of expose where there is a huge amount of questions to be asked. Now, again, I will say this, and I will say this looking at the camera, and this is a question. These are questions to the DUP leadership, to Timmy Johnston, to Jeffrey Donaldson, to everybody within that DUP leadership who suggests that they are your leadership, who suggests that they are working on behalf of your benefit. The questions, well, it starts with this question: whose side are you on? Does your words match your actions? What are your priorities? What is most paramount to you? Why has Jeffrey Donaldson been in the Ambazonian side of Cameroon, the English-speaking side of Cameroon, the Anglophone side of Cameroon? Why has Jeffrey Donaldson been there promoting into place between October 2017 and 2018, promoting this wonderful peace process as the method by which these genuine, decent people could create peace? When the people of Northern Ireland know that this is nothing but an appeasement process which has only one outcome for British Unionism. So why is Jeffrey Donaldson, why was this man out there? Maybe he has an answer for that. Maybe he wants the answer to that. We'll be pursuing him for an answer, asking him, why did he decide, why did he want to promote this swindle of a Belfast Agreement? The Belfast Agreement, it was a disguise. It was built for appeasement, swindle and lies. The peace is a farce. The IRA guns are still there. And we understand that London, well, they are afraid of another bomb scare. Why is Jeffrey Donaldson promoting this peace process, which he told me in Drumore, and a lot of people have seen it and heard it? And this is why we asked that question. But do you support the Belfast Agreement? His answer was no, absolutely not. In 1997, I walked away from Mr. Trimble because I didn't support it. And he still doesn't support it when I asked him again, do you support the Belfast Agreement? Do you support the Good Friday Agreement? No, I don't, he says. Why then? Why then are you promoting it on to people who want to maintain their British way of life, their English Anglophone way of life? Why are you promoting it as a solution to their problems? That is a real question that I want an answer for, that I want an answer to, and that I will be pursuing you, Jeffrey Donaldson, for an answer. People, we rest our case. We rest our case. You make your own decisions as to what it was that you seen this evening. There was a lot of time, there was a lot of effort, there was a bit of travel involved to get this to this stage. And here we are, yet again, leading the way in terms of, digging into the corruption that we see before our very eyes. And if it's not corruption, then what is it? That is a real question towards the DUP. I'm going to leave it for everyone to make their own assumption of what it is that they've just seen. I've presented the evidence. We've let you hear the testament from Cameroon. We've showed you the pictures of where Jeffrey Donaldson was whenever you and others were in Armagh last week. I would have been in Market Hill last week. I was in the midst of a storm trying to get to London last Friday. I travelled from Thursday. We didn't actually get to London until Saturday. But, suffice to say that this is what we were pursuing some answers to some questions whenever we were doing what we were doing last week. So there you go. That's why I wasn't at Market Hill last week. And, well, I hope you enjoyed the show. It's, it's serious, people. It is serious. It's not by any means to be taken lightly. There's a lot of questions there to be answered. The actions of the DUP leader, the man that says that he has British Unionism as paramount in his thought processes, well, as I say, his words don't mix with his actions. We're going to play us out with a little song. We're not going to hang around for much longer. It's 2 hours and 17 minutes. It took that time to actually do what it was that we're here to do. Suffice to say, people, if you can help us, if you can put a few pounds into that PayPal link, it helps with expenses. It helps. Who knows? We may need a fund to get me out of jail soon for what it is that I'm exposing. But as Margaret Thatcher would have said, if there are some people within our own community that want to U-turn in their resolve to defend, protect, and enhance Britishness within Northern Ireland, if there's some people that want to U-turn and get their feet onto the enemy's tables, well, I'm going to say, in the words of Margaret Thatcher, U-turn if you want. This man and this channel isn't for turning. Thanks very much, people. Thanks for coming along, playing us out with a little reminder of who that it is that we have to watch. Jeffrey Donaldson said just a few weeks ago when I played the TED Talk, he said that it is said that you keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. He turned that in his head. He said, well, my enemies are close, paraphrasing, and my friends need to be even closer. In other words, it's my friends I have to watch. He says that sometimes when you're making peace with your enemies, it is the loudest voices against you when you're trying to do that are normally the voices in your opposition. Well, I can state quite clearly that we are probably the loudest voices against you right now, Jeffrey Donaldson. But who can claim that we are the enemies? We put our hands in our own pocket to get the DUP elected. We didn't shaft the DUP. The DUP shafted us. lest we forget the 12th of December in 2019. And if we, as Einstein would have said, if we continue to do the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different outcome, well, that defines insanity, and we, respectfully, are not insane. Thank you, people. Thank you. The numbers have stayed high throughout. I've enjoyed that expose, do you know that? Because there's nothing that gives me, great pleasure to do other than to expose the charlatans from within our own community. Now, if I'm wrong, these are things that I'm entitled to do. In a democracy, I'm entitled to say what I said. I'm entitled to do what I've done. I'm entitled to ask the questions. I'm entitled to ask of my politicians, your politicians, those that we elected into place. I'm entitled to ask those people that I have these concerns. I believe this. And if I believe this, it is up to you, Jeffrey Donaldson, to convince me otherwise. That's where I stand. This is where Restore stands. We can do no other. Good night, people. Thanks for coming along. See you all real soon. And we'll be getting into something else that we're going to be talking about next week, which needs a lot of research. And, well, sure, you know that we're up to the task. I look forward to next week, and I'm sure that you do too. Playing these out with a little song, Don't Dream It's Over, because the reality is that when the world comes in, according to this song, they come in to drive a wedge between you. And as you would have heard from that journalist in Cameroon, that man who has been exiled for speaking the truth, he said that, well, all that glitters isn't gold. And that's me paraphrasing. So when the world comes in, they come in to drive a wall between us. And I say, don't let them win. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along. And once more, thanks for supporting this channel.
There is freedom within, there is freedom without. Try to catch a deluge in a paper cup. There's a battle ahead, many battles are lost, but you never see the end of the road while you're traveling with me. Hey now, don't dream it's over. I'm towing my car, there's a hole in the roof. My possessions are causing me suspicion, but there's no proof. In the paper today, tells a warrant of waste, but you turn right over to the TV page. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in, they come to build a wall between us. You know that they won't win. to the door of your heart. Only shadows ahead, barely clearing the roof. Get to know the feeling of liberation and relief. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in, they come to build a wall between us. You know that they won't win. La da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da da da. Won't let the wind don't
We didn't join Europe to be swallowed up in some bureaucratic conglomerate where it's Euro this and Euro that and forget about being British. We're British and we're proud of it. Proud of our traditions, proud of our national character,